Hello, welcome to part one of a brand new video series in which we're going to be looking at all things plantar fasciitis and heel pain. Now, plantar fasciitis is a topic that I'm particularly passionate about because it was my own experiences with plantar fasciitis while I was training for a marathon that first got me interested in moving away from the world of personal training and into the world of injury, rehab and pain management. Now, over the next few videos, we're going to look at what plantar fasciitis is, what causes it, who may get it, and how long it could potentially last. And then we're going to look at how to get you some instant relief from your symptoms, and then we'll look at how to rehab it and how to potentially stop it from coming back in the future. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan. I am a soft tissue therapist, a movement specialist and a personal trainer based in the UK. And I specialise in helping to rehab injuries and help my clients to manage their pain. Right, let's get on with the video. So what is plantar fasciitis? Well, plantar fasciitis is an irritation, a pain and sometimes damage in the plantar fascia. Now, when you hear the word itis in a condition, it usually refers to inflammation, but actually with plantar fasciitis, we don't always see inflammation. As a result, it's often referred to in other terms, such as plantar fasciopathy or simply plantar heel pain. However, for the sake of these videos, we're going to stick with plantar fasciitis because that's what most people refer to it as. So what is the plantar fascia? So the plantar fascia is a connective band of tissue, very strong tissue, that sits on the sole of the foot. It runs from the calcaneus, the heel bone, to the toes. Now, it actually merges in with the fibers from multiple other tissues, such as the Achilles tendon, which means it is partially responsible, or at least involved, in supporting the ankle and potentially helping to move the ankle. But the main roles of the plantar fascia is to elevate the arch in the bottom of the foot and to help distribute force evenly through the foot when we're doing things such as running, walking or standing. So what causes plantar fasciitis? Well, there's actually not a huge amount of research or evidence into the specific causes. However, we can kind of take an educated guess based on what we know about who is likely to get it. Now, the two most common groups that seem to get plantar fasciitis are group number one, people who are very active, taking part in activities such as running and walking, or people who are spending a lot of time on their feet at work. The second camp is almost the opposite end of the scale, and that is people who are not very active at all, but are of a higher BMI. It tends to be around 29 or higher on the BMI scale. So what we can kind of get from that is that it seems to be an overuse injury from overloading the tissues, asking the tissues to do more than they're probably used to doing. So that could be from asking them to run further than they're used to running, or on the other side, it could be putting that extra weight through the tissues that they're not ready to handle. So how long is plantar fasciitis likely to last for? Well, this is something that actually frustrates me a little bit about the injury rehab world because it's something that's not very well communicated to clients and patients. A lot of people assume that it's just going to be a short-term issue. However, that's not what the evidence shows. The average is that it lasts for at least 8 months. In some cases, it's been reported to last for up to 5 years, and in other cases, such as my own example, it only lasted for a month and a half. Now, it does tend to get better on its own with rest. However, what we do seem to find is rehabilitative interventions do seem to help speed up that recovery time. So how can you know that what you have is plantar fasciitis? Because of course there are other potential injuries to the sole of the foot. For example, you could have damage to the fat pad, which is a cushion beneath the heel bone. You could potentially have a stress fracture in the foot, or maybe even issues with nerve compression with the nerves running through the lower limbs. There are two giveaways that kind of tell us that it's plantar fasciitis, or at least likely to be plantar fasciitis. The first is the location of the pain when we palpate, when we press into the sole of the foot. So what we tend to find is it is most painful just above the heel bone, so just slightly further up the sole from the heel bone and just further to the outside, which is where the plantar fasciitis is almost at its thinnest, where it's connecting to the bone. The pain does follow the plantar fascia, but that seems to be the hot spot where it's really painful when you press on it. The other big giveaway is with plantar fasciitis, we tend to find it is at its worst when we take our first few steps. So that could be our first few steps after sleeping, or it could be our first few steps after resting or being sat down. Now that doesn't mean that the pain goes away during the day, it's just that those first few steps are when the pain is at its worst and when it feels the most sharp and shooting. So there we go, that is part 1 of this brand new video series all about plantar fasciitis. Hopefully from this video you now understand a little bit more about what plantar fasciitis is, how to know if you've got it, how long it's going to last, and potentially what has caused it. In the next video, I want to give you a few little tricks that you can use to get some instant relief so that you then have the capacity to start doing the rehabilitation that's going to help start to solve the issue. Now, thank you very much for watching, guys. I really hope this video was useful. Please like the video if you did find it useful, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel and that you press the little notification bell to ensure that you don't miss part 2 in this video series. I will see you in the next video.